Have you ever given directions, walked 5 steps across the room, and hear a student say, "Wait, what are we supposed to do again?" Or better yet, you've written it on the board, repeated it twice, posted it in a Google Classroom, and still you get hands saying, "I don't get it." If that's ever been your day in the classroom, welcome to the club. I'm Dr. D, and this is Teacher Prep, where we take the brain science that tells us should work and turn it into actual strategies that do work. Today's episode is all about working memory, why so many students struggle to hold on to things, and how we can teach strategies to help students remember, retain, and rise. I got you. Hey guys, so what is executive functioning? It's like the CEO of the brain. It manages thinking, planning, focusing, organizational behavior, and working memory, one of its key pillars, alongside inhibition control and cognitive flexibility. And remember, our students' brains are still developing. So, working memory capacity can differ for each student. That working memory helps our students hold on to information just long enough to do something with it, like following directions, solving a problem, or writing. Research shows that the brain's working memory can typically hold about 4 to 7 items at a time. And for most children, it's about 4 meaningful chunks of information. So, what does that mean for your classroom? If you give your students a 3 steps directions, a visual on the board, and a verbal reminder about behavior, you've just filled up their entire working memory before you've even started the task. That's why strategies like chunking, repetition, visual, and verbal rehearsals are so important. They lighten the brain's load and they make room for actual thinking. So, when it comes to working memory, you want to think of it like your brain's mental sticky note. But again, the catch, that sticky note can only hold about 4 meaningful chunks of information. So let's talk about why working memory can be weaker for some students. Well, if you're working with younger students, developmental delays are very common. For example, a student may have slower language processing, ADHD, or speech and language. And so even a 2-step direction can exceed their memory bandwidth. In addition, students in grades K through 2 are still in the area of language acquisition, and so they may just be having limited exposure to language, especially for our English language learners. And as such, they're going to struggle more with verbal working memory, multi-step directions. Now, what can you do if you're finding that, hey, this is the case? Well, you definitely want to chunk the task and check for recall. For example, let's say I want my students to take out their math book and turn to page 16. So I'll tell my students, step 1, let's all take out your math book and give me a thumbs up. I'm going to pause and wait till everybody does that. Now I'm going to say, okay, students, I want you to turn to page 16. 1 10 and 6 ones make 16. Give me a thumbs up and check with your elbow partner that they are also on page 16. Notice that I've paired with visuals, finger cues, and I've had my peers check each other to make sure that everybody's on task. Students who have learning differences like ADHD, dyslexia, or processing disorders can also have issues with working memory. Let's say you're working with a group of 5th graders and you give them directions on writing a paragraph about their favorite animals. You tell them, first I want you to write a topic sentence, then you're going to write 3 details about your animal, and finally you're going to write a closing sentence. While some students in that class might get started right away, a few of them might sit quietly, fidget, or write nothing at all. What might be happening? For your students who has ADHD, they may have heard the first step, started writing, and just lost track about what to do next. Students with dyslexia, their mental effort to spell and form sentences is going to crowd out their memory of the paragraph structure. And students with processing disorders, typically they may not have fully processed the sequence of steps before the task has even begun. So what can you do to support your students? First, you definitely want to introduce like a visual planner or graphic organizer and a checklist to help your students get all of those key pieces that they need. Topic sentence, detail 1, detail 2, detail 3, closing sentence. See, it's already 5 bits of information here. You can use icons or short prompts to help your students with recall. Second, you can also teach a strategy or a system so that students can process what they need to do. For example, I use these little double-sided counters on the student's desk. On one side is green. If they have their green side up, that means that they're telling me that they know what to do and they're working. If they have the red side up, that means that they're stuck and they need help remembering the next step. And so simply when they have that red up, I just go over, I give them support, check in with them. You can also model with student examples. Let's just say that I finished my topic sentence. My favorite animal is the elephant, but now I'm not sure what details to write next. Instead of sitting stuck, I flip my card to red, I look at my checklist, and now I'm teaching my students how to self-regulate. This is empowering to your students, and it's going to encourage them to persevere rather than to just give up. And we definitely want to praise our students when they're using the strategies that we're giving them to support. For example, I might say, oh my God, I love how Chris has used his signal, that he needs help organizing his ideas. That's how we grow and wire our brains. And these are great strategies to work, especially for English language arts. Remember that students with many working difficulties don't have to keep all the 5 steps in their head if they're giving that graphic organizer. And that visual and color signal is going to offload some of the working memory, and it's given them a nonverbal way to ask for help. This is going to help support students in feeling like they have independence and teaching them how to work on their own and advocate for support, which is always empowering for our students. Have you ever been running late for work? Maybe you're going a little bit too fast, and the next thing you know, you're being pulled over for speeding. You're sitting there, your heart's pounding, the lights are flashing behind you, and then you're asked for your license and registration, and suddenly you can't remember where your wallet is. You know you have it, you always have it. But in that moment, your brain has just gone blank. That's what stress does. It hijacks your brain and sends all your resources into survival mode. So when a child is under stress, of course it's going to impact their working memory. The amygdala sounds the alarm, access to the prefrontal cortex, the part that handles the memory, attention, and decision making is just shut down. So no matter what you teach, there are ways that you can lower stress for your students that maybe have high stress triggers in their home, anxiety, and these ways will support students' working memory. All you're doing is building structures, safety, and predictable routines in your classroom. Remember that our brains love patterns, so starting each class with calm, predictable opening is going to help lower the stress in your classroom. If you're teaching math, you can use the same type of warm-up routines every day. In English language arts, maybe you're starting with journaling, or do that in science, quote, daily writing prompt. Also, having visual schedules really helps your students know what's coming up and what's next. This also helps their brains settle, and then it will save processing time for learning, for doing those kinds of activities. Remember that when memory is blocked, visuals can help unlock it. So other visuals that you might include into your practice are anchor charts, sentence frames, or graphic organizers. We also want to break down our multi-step directions, just like I've always shared with you guys. Write it on the board, say it out loud, have your students repeat it. And again, the more consistent you are, the safer your students feel, and the more their memory comes back to them. Other things that you can do if your students can't access their memory or feeling dysregulated is that build in some brain breaks in your classroom. Breathing, stretching, mindfulness, especially before those challenging tasks, can prompt your students' brains and help them get ready. Give your students permission to pause. Use a calm down cue. I know a lot of students or teachers are using calm down corners in their classroom. You can also just normalize phrases in your class like, hey, let's take a brain break together, or let's reset our brain before we move on. Remember that the goal in your class isn't perfection, it's progress, it's presence. And the more we can build emotional safety in our classroom, the more that our students can engage and reach their full capacity. So, working memory isn't just a challenge for a few students, it can be a challenge for us teachers too. I remember quite a few times where the classroom got so noisy, it was overstimulating, and I couldn't even solve a basic math problem. But here's the good news: at any point, at any moment during our instruction, we can stop, we can support, we can strengthen our working memory with just a few intentional strategies. Let's go over what they are again. First, we want to make sure that we're chunking information. Remember, our brain can only hold 4 to 7 pieces of information. Next, we always want to use visuals and verbal cues to anchor thinking. We want to always model strategies like repeating, narrating, and using our fingers. We always want to create predictable routines that reduce our students' cognitive overload, reduce the stress, they know what to expect. And then we want to embed memory tools like graphic organizers, anchor charts, sentence frames. And finally, my favorite, we want to use emotional regulation strategies to calm the brain and unlock learning. And seriously, when we do these kinds of strategies in the classroom, we're not only managing our students' ability to regulate, we're giving them tools to be successful, lifelong learners. And at the end of the day, memory isn't just a brain function, it's a learning lifeline. We support it, we support every student's potential. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please, please, please drop your favorite memory strategy in the comments. It could be one that I shared or one that you use in your classroom. And don't forget to like, subscribe for more videos just like this. I'm Dr. D. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time.